Hi, good evening. It's Dr. C. Denise Richardson, your Women's Rich Life Strategist. We're back with Prelude to Purpose Reloaded. This call is being recorded. So I am excited to bring to you tonight because of overwhelming response to the Prelude to Purpose. As we explained in our initial Prelude to Purpose, we introduced you to what Prelude means. It's an introduction to what? To purpose. And we identified what purpose meant for those of you who are not really familiar with purpose. I want to welcome all of the callers here this evening. I want to say I am excited to have you to take time out of your schedule to join me for the Prelude to Purpose Reloaded. And I'm just going to wait probably just a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk and give you some information about me if this is your first time logging into a session with me. And if this is not your first time, I want to welcome you back and just want to give you a little information about me. I am C. Denise Richardson. I am an educator by profession. That is what my background is in. I have attained 4 degrees, 2 in secular institutions of higher learning and 2 in religious seminary. And it is my goal to empower women, to equip women, to help women to transform their lives to be those women of prayer, power, purpose, and prosperity. And you will see from tonight's Prelude to Purpose Reloaded how those 4 P's work with purpose. So, you've identified purpose and the audience your unique purpose serves. The reason that I wanted to start out by sharing that, because in Prelude to Purpose, the original Prelude to Purpose, we identified what purpose was. We identified our unique audiences because so many of us have these similar gifts, these similar talents that we sometimes feel that there's no need for us to launch our business, as it were. And there is a difference between what you offer and what the next see a Dollar General going out of business or neglecting to open in neighborhoods because there's a Target or because there's a Walmart. They have a target audience. And just like those businesses, you have a target audience yourself. So additionally, from Prelude to Purpose, you've committed to seek potential clients consistently. And what I mean by that is you don't come up and if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a true entrepreneur, you don't attempt to wing it. And what I mean by that is you don't think that it's going to happen by osmosis, but you take intentional or deliberate steps to reach out to those potential clients that you've already identified. So since Prelude to Purpose, the initial launch, you're probably asking yourself, what's next? Now it's imperative that you customize your craft. Customizing your craft. What makes you stand out? Why does Pseudo choose your goods and or services instead of your colleagues? That's a question that many of us need to ask. What is it about me that would have the potential client that I've targeted? Because listen, you need to know that you're not the only author. You're not the only publisher. You're not the only coach or mentor. You're not the only speaker. There are others who are similar to you. I mean, they speak on the same topics that you speak on. They probably, if you're an author and you author children's books, there are new rising authors who love children and their passion meets their purpose and they begin to pen children's books. And so what makes you different? What would make Sally Doe select your books? What makes you a standout? What makes you bring the spotlight to you? I'm reminded of a Temptations, the movie The Temptations, when the Temptations had kicked out one of their fellow members, and as they were performing, he had already paid the lighting and sound director to put the spotlight on him, and the spotlight was on him, and he stole the show. I mean, they kept the show going. It continued on. but he stole the show. So what will give you the advantage? What makes you steal the show? What's different about your goods? What's different about your services? Prelude to Purpose Reloaded. It's time to do the real work. I'm laughing because when we talk about doing the real work, it's more to it than getting a website. It's more to it than posting pretty pictures. My business manager, Doreen, if I can share a little story with you to make you laugh. Briefly before we launched Prelude to Purpose Reloaded tonight, I read a message very briefly that she posted, and she wanted some of her friends to participate. And in the participation, she stated that it's more to it than just posting pictures. So if you wouldn't mind to participate in this game, which had nothing to do with pictures. So similarly, I just thought about that and wanted to share that. Similarly, you cannot just by osmosis think that you're going to have customers falling at your feet. They're going to come out of the woodwork because number one, just because you have a website. Number two, just because you have business cards. Number three, just because you post pretty pictures does not mean that you're going to immediately grab the client base that you've already identified. Why do I say this? Because I've tried it. I know that marketing constitutes a nice presentation. Even as you were eating dinner at a restaurant that prides itself not only on the good food that it has, but the presentation, the service, all of that makes up the reason why you select one restaurant over another. Similarly, it's up to you. It's up to me to do the work. It takes time to do the work. You have to commit daily time to your purpose. You have to sit down. After you've identified those clients, you have to find out and write down how you will strategically reach out to them. Everybody isn't on social media. Everyone doesn't know your website. Everyone that you can potentially reach will not, in fact, have a business card of yours. So this is what you have to do the real work. You have to do investigation. You have to do research. It's almost like being in college or in high school preparing for college. Do the real work. Do the grit and grind. Get into the trenches and do the work. That may encompass securing professionals and interns. Why do I? Hello? Okay. I heard a little echo. I don't know if that's me. Thank you all so much for your patience. Anyway, what I wanted to say are not an expert at. Like me, I am a teacher by career. I'm an educator. I'm also a speaker. But when I hire professionals who know how to pull the strings together, who know how to market me, who know how to manage me, who know the best way to do the technical support. See, I'm not a tech savvy person, so you need to hire professionals. Hence the reason you need to secure professionals. You need to do the work because you need the professional who will work with you. A working relationship that's good, that's positive, that will encourage you as well as challenge you is much needed. On the flip side of that, you may be able to pull in a few interns. Now, being Dr. C. Denise Richardson, your women's rich life strategist, I would not say that your entire team needs to be interns because, as you know, interns are still learning. Professionals already know. They already have a background. They have a history. And in the case that I have, Doreen, her reputation preceded her. You know why I say that? Let me take a moment to explain to you what I mean by that. When I say her reputation preceded her, that means that I didn't even know who Doreen was. But when I spoke of her, someone else who knew of her knew about her work. They recommended her highly. She comes highly recommended. Hence the fees that she can charge for her client, to her clients. I'm saying the same thing to you. You need professionals on your team. If you can't start out with a team of professionals. You need at least one professional who can multitask, maybe at least two things. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I am a coach. So, and it's just God's will. I have to say that Doreen specializes in all three. You may not be able to get somebody or secure somebody who does all three, but isn't it fantastic when they do, when they can at least, have two of the three, or maybe you have 4 or 5 talents. If they can secure 1 or 2 of those, if they can do your graphic designs and they can also assist you with technical support, that's a 2 for 1. You are already winning. So, put some money aside. I mean, this is a side note. This is not in my notes, and Doreen is probably going to get onto me. But I want to challenge us to put some money aside, to begin saving, to stop being so wasteful, because you will see in the end that securing a professional team member, if not 2 or 3, at least 1, will do worlds of difference. This is Prelude to Purpose Reloaded. I told you we're going to have some different nuggets. Now, I know you can follow people who can tell you this is what you need to do to get money. Hire me, come to this class, come. And it's like a continuum of classes. Now, I'm not knocking my colleagues who do that, but let me say this in defense of those who you can hire as a professional. You may as well hire a one-stop shop. You may as well do that instead of continuing to enroll and pay someone to give you nuggets here, and then you have to enroll in something else for something else. By the time you spent the money that you spent enrolling in all of these classes, you could have hired a professional to do most of what you're paying someone to do anyway. It's negotiable. Find someone who is professional enough to handle you, to take care of you, and to present you to your audience in the best light. That's what Doreen does for me. And the third thing that I wanted to say, the third note, a business manager, a brand specialist, a virtual assistant, intern, finance manager. Professionals are paid and are your best bet. I'm going to tell you that right up front. Interns are great, but out of the list that I just provided to you, the professionals are your best bet. I mean, you're going to have to give up some things. This is Prelude to Purpose Reloaded. I'm telling you, these are things that I have not discussed in my Monday Momentum or my Thursday Therapy. This is not even slightly a compilation. I'm telling you right now, this is what you're going to have to do. And for those of you who are waiting on tax time, you better use those taxes to, pay your professional up. Take some time to invest in yourself. This is the way. I'm guaranteeing you, if you invest in yourself, you will get a great dividend. Why aren't you investing in yourself rather than investing so much into somebody else and you're still getting nowhere? Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program. Professionals are your best bet. However, interns and volunteers are great team additions. Listen, that's an add-on. You know how you can go to the restaurant and you can order a la carte. You can get your base meal, that's the base price. And then you can do some a la carte. That's what you need to do. You don't just get the extras and don't have your main meal. You don't do that. So similarly, I'm saying to you, get your professional. If it's just one person right now to start, get that one person, negotiate. Sometimes, the professional will negotiate depending on whether the relationship is where it should be, because no one's willing to take a chance on you if you're, let me get to that point later. If you're flaky, you're going to have to sign a contract. Bottom line, you're going to have to sign a contract because this is their livelihood. Just as you're trying to get your gifts and your talents to, be, your probably your source of income, so you can leave that 9 to 5 and be your own boss. Everyone won't make that though, because everyone isn't willing to do the work. Everyone isn't willing to sacrifice those vices or those extras that they spend to hire a professional. If your budget is tight and they are good at their individual professions, you'll be able to secure a professional. They'll be willing to negotiate with you on a term basis. Create a budget. I had to learn this the hard way. Did I ever share with you all that I launched a Christian Academy? I launched that academy, and you know what? This is for all the faith walkers out there. You don't get any greater faith than I have. I launched that Christian Academy, and it lasted for 4.5 years. And you know where I made my biggest mistake? My husband kept telling me this, and he was the chief operating officer. He said, you don't have a working budget, sugar. And he started out telling me, you don't have a working budget, sugar. But he eventually began to say, C, or Dr. C. I knew when he began calling me Dr. C that was going to be a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem because he wasn't saying sugar anymore. That was my biggest problem. I didn't have a working budget or a realistic budget. I was out here on faith. I'm believing God. I have the building. The landlord didn't want to give it to me, but he some way, somehow told me he would allow me. And I didn't even ask him. He said that he would allow me to use it without paying him rent for the first few months. I think the first 6 months, he told me he was going to see how we would pick up. And I even lowered my prices. We were using a well-known curriculum. It's the Christian curriculum that 90% of schools use right here today. And I lowered my prices. And see, that's one thing that we don't need to do. We never need, unless, it's a negotiable contract, like I'm speaking with the paid professional that you're hiring. Do not negotiate your prices when you know your worth and you have to pay employees. Okay, if you're a Lone Ranger, if you're a professional who is maybe similar to Doreen, maybe you can negotiate your prices because Doreen doesn't pay anyone to work for her necessarily. She doesn't have to. She may from time to time hire people here or there for several projects, but she doesn't have a long-term paid staff, okay? So if you have a long-term commitment with the staff, you can't negotiate your prices. And I found myself negotiating my prices, and my husband was paying my staff, basically, because I lowered my prices to get people in. How many of you all know that it didn't get people in? It did not. It did no different than when the prices were set to what they should have been set all along. So create a budget. Be realistic about what you can handle financially. That's a mistake that I made. I wasn't realistic about what we could handle financially. And it's just by God's grace that fiasco did not cause us to have tremendous strain in our marriage. But what it did almost do was cause us to lose our home. I'm sharing that with you. I've never shared that on my social media sites, my periscopes. So yes, we almost lost our home because we were paying our employees, our teachers. They were certified teachers. They were degreed teachers. So we had to pay them. Generate revenue by utilizing your gifts and talents in creative yet measurable ways. Okay, this is under number 2 in creating your budget. You have to create a budget and being realistic about what you can handle financially. Don't just solely go out on faith alone, because faith is great. It's great. But in the real world, faith works with realistic numbers. You have to crunch those numbers. And although I wasn't nervous or tense, when my husband would become tense, I could tell he was like overwhelmed. But I'm still believing God. I would sense it. I would sense his nervousness. And then I became nervous because he was nervous. So be realistic. Generate revenue by utilizing your gifts and talents. What are your gifts? What are your talents? If you're a speaker, commit to contacting individuals to see initially if you can begin to speak. Once they hear you speak, maybe they'll begin to hire you for a nominal fee because that's your livelihood. That's what you do. And you may not be able to request top dollar because you're just launching out. You're just getting your feet wet. And you can say, or Dr. Rich or C. Denise, I've been doing this for 15 years. Yes, but you've been doing it on a scaled back level. You've not been out in the deep. So no one really knows you. You're not a household name, a proprietary ephraim. That means that you're not a household name yet. You're not a Bishop T.D. Jakes. You're not a, all of these great speakers. I'm thinking of spiritual speakers right now, but you're not a Dr. Charles Stanley, forgive me for my ums, because we are videoing, we are taping, we're recording. You're not these individuals. You're not readily recognized. You're not readily known. Maybe in your neck of the woods, they know you by name, but you can't go in requesting top dollar. Or you can, that's your right, but you probably won't get it because you're not known that well. You know, they can't put you on as the keynote speaker and the East hasn't heard of you. You're only known in the South and the tri-state area, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Georgia maybe, or a couple of states. You have to be known. You have to launch into the deep. So be careful about that. Also, carefully contemplate how much you reasonably anticipate earning the first year. Make this budget out. If you can't hire a financial planner or advisor, then you'll have to find the apps that you need and you'll have to work it out. Get a close friend who's good with crunching numbers. And all of these will work hand in hand, being realistic about what you can handle financially, generating revenue by utilizing your gifts and talents in creative yet measurable ways. You have to measure what you're doing. Is it working? Is it not working? What could we have done different? Was it paid or unpaid? Carefully contemplate how much you can reasonably anticipate earning the first year. Point number 3, develop your landing page and offer something of value free of charge. And let me say this, your website is not the end all be all. If you don't have a website, that's okay for now. It's most important that you develop and sharpen your skills primarily and get yourself out here. That's where the work comes in. That's where getting in the trenches comes in. Once you've identified your client base, you can go to attend some conferences. Yeah, you'll have to pay to attend them, but get out here, get yourself known, get recognized, and probably attempt to speak to the host of the conference, especially if you're an inspirational or motivational speaker. Develop your landing page, transactional or reference. Let me explain that. These establish and potentially increase your mailer and client list. So it's either a transactional or reference landing page. It can increase your mailer list and your client list. You need to build your client base. And let me say this to you real quickly. Your client base can't just be your family and friends. It can't be. And I want to give Doreen another plug and another of her clients who is well known, Teresa Velarde, Transformational Tuesdays. I met this great lady through Doreen. It's about connections. If you're serious about your business, then your business will be serious for you. It's a serious matter. So what I'm saying is launch outside of your comfort zone. Teresa Velarde does not have a great deal in common with me as far as my history and background and even the race that I am. But what Teresa Velarde has in common with me is, number 1, she's a woman. Number 2, she's all about transformation. Number 3, she's about empowering women and transforming women's lives. Those are the things that we have in common. So you can't be so eager to remain in your comfort zone. I believe that that's why so many of us miss the prelude to purpose. We miss it. We miss it in big margins, just about like the Summer Olympics, how great a lead the United States has over the rest of the countries. It's that big of a lead. It's because we are afraid to launch out of our familiar circles, our familiar comfort zones. You have to get out and you have to become more visible. You know how you do that? You do that online and in person. You make connections. You can't just do it all online. Let me tell you something. I'm a people person. And when I was securing my second master's in education, I went and the dean of the schools contacted me. She came up to me face to face. She said, "See, Denise, what I would love to see you do is to take some online classes." She said, "I know you love to talk," which, most of you who know me know that I will dominate a conversation unless, I'm in a coaching or mentoring relationship with you. Then it's more about you. And I know about that from being in the classroom because a lot of what we do in the classroom was always teacher guided. But sometimes there were times when it should be student guided, meaning that the student had more to say than the teacher did or than the educator did. So what I'm saying about that is she challenged me to get out of my comfort zone, which was coming to class, seeing eye to eye, because she even told me, you may one day consider teaching on the collegiate level. And when you do, she didn't say if, she said, and when you do, you'll need to know how to navigate online. So you have to make those connections. And for those of you who love to do online for everything, maybe you love to do online so somebody else can do it for you. Maybe you love doing online because you're just not a people-oriented person. You're going to have to stretch yourself. You're going to have to get up. And sometimes you're going to have to be the one to initiate. You're not always going to meet a C. Denise who is ready to be in your face. Hi, I'm C. Denise, the Women's Rich Life Strategist. You're not going to always meet a woman like me. You have women who have bold personalities, but they're not bold when it comes to other women whom they don't know, or whom they haven't connected with. Even if they have friends, you know, I've met women who have friends and their friends are not necessarily connected. I didn't say their friends aren't friends, but I mean, they're not even connected in the remote ways. They don't even really know too much about them. They may know that that's my friend's friend, but they don't even really know, you know, how we met or how we know one another. Come out of your comfort zone. Become more visible. Point number 5, remain relevant and technologically savvy. Okay, so you've hired someone professional to run your online sales and do all of the things that you need to have done. You still need to be able to do some things yourself. You need to remain relevant. How do you do that? You may be saying, Dr. C. Denise, how do I remain relevant? The way that you remain relevant is you have to stay connected with your clients. It should be more than about money, okay? You know, let me say this to you. You'll lose clients, valuable clients, because all you're looking at are dollars. See, the client who has more in mind, who has maturation, who has transformation in mind, they don't mind paying you. But if all you're talking about is money, then you are not remaining relevant because you're leaving some of your clients behind. So the way that I remain relevant is I need to stay connected to my clients. I don't have Doe and the CDR Unlimited team to do everything for me. I connect with my clients. I don't make it too personal. I don't get with them like that. But what I am saying is I have to know what it is that they need from me. Maybe last year they needed to know how to, you know, become visible on social media. They don't need that again this year. So I have to know how to individualize my clients, okay? I can make them corporate, you know, where they all need the same thing, but I also have to remain relevant by being present in their lives to meet their needs, okay? Doe has tons. Well, you know, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but she's so great. She's only one woman, so she can't have tons, but she has so many clients. And I have to use Doe because right now that's the reference point that I'm thinking of. All of us are unique. She has to meet the unique needs of her clients to remain relevant. Who is she remaining relevant to? Her clients. She has to do that or she'll lose her clients. Now, some clients you're going to lose anyway because they don't need you forever. But someone like Doe, I'll need her for as long as she's offering her services, okay? There are some things that Doe does that Dr. C is just not going to do. I'm not even going to try to entertain my brain to do it because she's the master at it. I master what I do. She masters what she does. Remain relevant and technologically savvy. Doe has taught me some of her tricks. I can't do them the way she does, but it's enough for me to remain relevant and to remain technologically savvy. My brain is not a tech brain, okay? So she knows she has to teach me on simple things. I can handle those myself without inundating her with so much work and having to inundate the interns with so much work. So you have to remain tech savvy because what if your intern is not available? They need vacations. What if your business manager isn't available? She or he requires a vacation as well. I mean, they have to do that. They have their honeys. They have their honeydews. They have their sweethearts. They have things to do. They have children. They have a life. And you don't really expect them to live life and doing your work too. Okay, come on, let's be real. So, you have to know some things to do to keep your business afloat, even when you're on vacation. So, point number 6, improve your speaking and online presence continually by building on what your clients love about you. You understand what I'm saying? What I am basically telling you is, even with me being an English teacher, I have to improve the way that I speak. I've said numerous times this evening, and that's probably because I was joking around immediately before hopping on. I have some things on my mind, and I'm not sticking to what Doe would like for me to stick to. So that's where the ums come in. But you have to, with some of the clients, depending on what kind of client base you're seeking, you'll have to know how to speak, okay? I've even been thinking here lately, I'm going to be speaking at Refresher with my sister Tina Tatum. I love that lady of the R3 movement. Tennessee, Moscow, Tennessee. And I'm doing something different. The Lord has already given me how to start with this group of women differently, because this is a different crowd. This is Tina's crowd, and Tina brings in a different segment of women. She brings in professional business women, and not to say that I don't, but these women, most of them, a lot of them, come from different backgrounds than I do. So the Lord has given me how to start off with them. So I'll be starting off with them a little bit different than I normally do. So that's a challenge. That's making myself relevant. They're not my clients, but they're Tina's clients. And some of them may walk away as clients of mine. I'm going to start out with, a little joke, a little humor about us being mothers and how exhaustive that can be in our other daily duties. I don't really, start out speaking like that, especially when I'm preaching or with some of my clients that I have now. So that's a stretch. You have to improve your speaking skills. You can't talk to every crowd the same. I had a group of teenagers and preteens about 2 months ago. I had to speak a little bit on their level. I had to learn their jargon. I knew that the speaking engagements were coming up, so I had to take some time to refresh my mind. I had to get into the know of what teens, how they talk, what's the jargon, and not just in one ethnicity or race, but what's the lingo for teens, period? What does this group, this age group of teens talk about? What do they say about this? What does this group of teens say? So I had to improve my speaking skills and my online presence. That's something else that we can improve in, our online presence, how we convey our thoughts when we're speaking, how we hold ourselves, our posture. I was in a workshop here recently with Teresa and Doreen, and I think it's a client of Teresa Velarde's. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think so. However, she knocked it out the park. She was discussing money, and money is a touchy subject. My point about that is she spoke on money, and in speaking about money, she spoke to us about our posture and how money and the discussion of money can kind of maybe change the way we sit, the way we see things, the colors. She discussed colors and what they meant and what they represented in our lives, not just as a whole, but what they probably meant to us depending on our backgrounds. So your online presence, what is your body language saying? Your mouth is saying one thing. Listen, this is funny, but I know people who profess to be, millionaires or billionaires, or they may even say that they're wealthy and they can teach you strategies, or maybe they're published authors or great speakers. Okay, you're saying this, but I'm listening to you and you don't speak. And this is not to hurt anyone's feeling, but what I'm saying is the proof should be in the pudding. You can't even speak well enough for me to understand you. So what is your body language saying as opposed to what your mouth and your lips are saying. The proof is always going to be in the pudding. I represent myself in truth and in integrity. I'm not going to tell someone that I'm such a great individual and I can help you do this, or I can help you attain this level of greatness when, I actually have not done it in my own life. So you have to be careful what you promise your clients, because they're going to look for you to bring it to pass. They're going to look for you when they want to cash that check in. They want to be able to see that the money is there. So basically what I'm saying is, word of mouth can either kill your business or it can build your business. Word of mouth can either kill your business or it can build your business. As I get ready to wrap up and ask you all for some questions, you can ask me. Present yourself as, quote unquote, the change agent. When you've identified your potential clients, make sure that to spotlight yourself the way that you're different than this other person or these other people that they're contemplating. And I've messed up a little bit on that in the past, but I'm perfecting that. I'm improving that, because practice makes improvement. I know some people have said, and I don't jump on everyone's bandwagon, but some have said practice makes perfection. I don't believe that. I've not seen it yet. I believe that practice makes improvement, though. I believe that you can improve who you are. I believe that you can. I believe that you can improve your speaking skills. I believe that whatever it is that you do, if you practice it enough, you can improve it. So present yourself as, quote unquote, the change agent, not a change agent, but the change agent, either personally or professionally. What you can do for them in their personal lives to make them a better person, to help transform their lives, to get them from point A. Maybe they don't need to get to point Z immediately, or maybe not even with you. Hopefully so, but at least to point D. They need to see that they can get to another point from where they've been stuck for so long. So make sure you're the change agent. Your clients must see your ability to offer realistic solutions to their circumstances. They have a need and they come to you, so they have to see that you're able to solve that problem. Don't give up at the first sign of struggle. Stick to the plan and stay the course. That's funny, because there are a couple of things that are not presently going the way that I would love to see them. And so this was a dose of my own medicine. You have to give it time, especially if you're not well known. You have to, and I'm known by a lot of people, but being known by a lot of people, it depends on how they know you. Do they know you personally? Are they family? Are they people that you attended school with? That they just take you for granted? Or do they know you professionally? That makes a difference. So don't give up at the first sign of struggle. These are some extras that I just sent Doe. Do not appear needy or desperate. Remember my experience with the Academy? Don't appear needy or desperate. You want to attract the client base that best suits your comprehensive vision. Whatever your overall vision is for the business that you have, if you're a publisher, if you're a speaker, if you're a multi-level marketer, whatever it is, make sure that your client base best suits your comprehensive vision. What is your overall vision? Before you I need clients. I just need to show that I have clients. No, you don't want clients just to say that you have them, but you have a big rollover, a big turnover rate. They leave you angry and they don't refer any friends. You want referrals. You want referrals. WANT. You want referrals. For example, you don't want to attract flaky or inconsistent clients. You don't want someone who will pay you this month and next month they're making excuses. It's almost like hiring an employee, although they are really the employer. And you, my dear sister, are the employee. So it's almost like, you're hiring an employee. It's almost like that. Would you want an employee who showed up to work this day and then 3 days later or every few days they're calling in? No. So flip that. You're really the employee. They're your employer. They're your clients, but they're the ones who are paying you. So be consistent and seek out those clients who you have a good rapport with, that you can trust, who don't mind signing contracts, who understand even though we know each other outside of business, because I keep saying this, I'm going to continue to say it. I may say it until, either I die or until Jesus comes, whichever Jesus returns, whichever one comes first. But I will continue to say it. And that's that some people, even the most professional people, if they know you in a personal manner, sometimes they don't know how to separate personal from professional. Be selective and do not feel bad. Your gifts make room for you and allow you to put others to work. So, are there any questions? I want to hear from you right now. There may be some questions. So this is the time for Q&A. I thank you so very much for your patience. I thank you so very much for your time and your cooperation. I also want to say this. You don't have to beg clients. Your work should speak for you. You shouldn't have to beg clients. Once your work, Doe didn't have to sell herself to me too long. Once she worked with me in a semi-fashion with mountain movers, and I saw what I needed to do. I moved some real mountains. You hear me? I call myself the quintessential mountain mover, but I really moved some mountains so that I could secure Doreen as my business manager. I needed her in my life for my business. I really did. So don't beg clients. And another thing I'm saying, we become angry because we feel entitled for people to support us. You're not entitled for people to spend money with you, Christian or no Christian. I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to be angry with someone if they don't support me. I'm not. I don't have that mindset, because if you don't realize who I am and what I can do for you, it's not for me to become angry with you. It's for me to pursue the clients. And I feel like the only time most of us become angry anyway is because we don't have the client base that we want. So we feel like this person should be supporting me. And that very well may be true. It may be true, but we don't have a right to become angry about someone else's money, okay? Especially if we haven't hired them. Are there any questions from my callers, from my viewers? Are there any questions? Hey, Teresa.
Hey, I just have a comment. This was really good, very powerful, and I love all the points that you made, and particularly one that stands out to me. Don't appear needy or desperate. I believe, as being Christian, I believe that God is going to give us everything that we are expecting and intending for, because that's just the way that it works. And when you are bringing your gifts and talents to the table to the best of your ability, you will attract the clients that are supposed to be with you, and not have to be in that place of desperation. Desperation is only a fear-based emotion, and fear does not attract anybody. It's, maybe more people that are fearful and who don't have the money to pay you and so forth. But the bottom line is that you need to stand in your power and your purpose and move forward, knowing that the gifts and talents that you were given are there for people who are ready and willing to work with you. So I think this was great. I took a lot of notes, and I have a lot to go over here. So thank you so much for presenting tonight, and I'm glad that I was able to join you for the reload.
And I wanted to say this to you, Teresa Velarde. Now, for those of you who are listening and you don't know Teresa as of yet, Teresa does not really have to be on this call. She's an entrepreneur, and she's been doing business for many years. She's doing this in part because we are sisters and we're connected. But she did walk away with a few points that resonated with her. And the point that she resonated with, I'm glad that I just added that. Those were the points that I just submitted to Doreen, because we don't have to be needy or desperate. And you're right. You said it for me. It's a sign of fear. And if the client is already fearful and nervous, they're going to be able to, just like I don't want to compare, but sometimes the ones that we love the most, our precious pets, they can sense when somebody is nervous, and sometimes where they wouldn't bark or snap at them, if they can sense the fear, that's what they'll do. So fear is not a good thing unless fear launches you further into this purpose. Now, if it does something positive, that's one thing, but lowering your prices like I did because I'm thinking, oh, this will get me more clients. That was the worst mistake. It did absolutely nothing except allow people to walk over me. They didn't do any extras. This was a Christian academy, so it was a private school, but we weren't considered private. We were considered a church-related school, and we used that Christian curriculum. And you know, the teachers, like I said, it's just not good when you have to lower your standards or your prices to fit the needs of others, unless it's, like I said, it can be like, if you don't have clients to and a staff to pay, Doreen may be able to be flexible, and people similar to Doreen may be flexible, and you know, but I would not say that that's something that we should practice on a regular basis, because our gifts and our talents are really worth. People have money for what we want to have it for.
Exactly. And the people that are supposed to come to you will come to you. And the ones that aren't are going to just fall away, you know, and we've experienced that. I mean, and I work with Doreen too, and she is the best. She just is so awesome at what she does. Not only does she bring all of those things that you said earlier to the table, as far as being an online business manager, a virtual assistant, she's also a coach in her own right with what she does, because I don't know anything about technology either. The websites that you see for me have been created by Doreen. I just give her the content because I am a writer, I am a publisher, I am an author, and I have that's my capability. But I totally agree with all that you said about, you know, work within a budget, hire the people that are best for you. Interns are great. I've worked with interns. They're not the be all end all. The breed of interns that are coming out of school and are in school right now, they may have some more technological gifts than they had in the day that I was looking for them. But the bottom line is, you need a professional. You need someone like Doreen who's gonna really bring their gifts and talents to the table. You know, and I wrote about this in the content that I gave you for your book. I submitted for your book. You know, we were not meant to do this all alone. And if you're spending money on stuff that you think you can do by yourself, remember the time that you're going to have to invest into that's taking away from the gift and talent that you have, that you're supposed to be focusing on. You know, so everything that you said was so powerful. I'm so glad that I tuned in and spent this time with you, because it gave me an opportunity to know more about what you teach, who you are, and what you bring to the world. And I am truly blessed to know you. So thank you.
And I'm looking forward to you. I'm looking forward to working my schedule for Purpose Shakers 2017, because I need Teresa Velarde in the house. Doreen probably didn't tell you, but I'm working on my schedule so that I can have it flexible enough where I can have you as one of my keynotes. I need you at Purpose Shakers 2017. So there you go. Thank you, Doreen. You have a question?
I have a comment, because there's something that you've said here that I wholeheartedly agree with, but I want to take to one other level. Sometimes as a entrepreneur, we don't necessarily lower our rates to get clients, but always look at the flip side of something. If there is somebody who you want to work with, who you think that you can help, and who you feel in the long run may be a benefit to you as well, then at those times you should really look at negotiating what you're doing. And I have done that. I've done that with several clients, because when I feel, I don't take anybody on, and when I feel that there is a connection, and when I feel that I can make somebody higher than what they already are, and in turn they're going to reach down and they're going to grab me and bring me right back up with them, I have no problem. Because, you know, one of the things that it's not only about the client base, and it's not only about the money, because if you can have 100 clients, and if you are not charging your worth, you're working double. But you could be charging your worth and not enjoying what you're doing. So if you pick those clients you want to work with, or you know who your key group is, and that's who you want to focus with, sometimes you do have to adjust. And that adjustment is not going to hit your pocket as hard as you think it's going to hit your pocket, because in the long run, it ends up benefiting you and the client.
I agree. And see, I think I didn't expound on it, but I did say in Doe's case, she could possibly do that. I didn't expound into why you may do that as far as seeing the potential. But what I was saying was, I did when my school went the way that it went, and that's south, it was because I wanted to bring more people. And I thought I was doing a service. It wasn't necessarily that, oh, I really feel like they could be here and they could benefit the school. I was doing it because I saw that I needed more students in my teacher's classroom so that it wouldn't be in my husband's in my pocket, and it backfired. And then I had employees to pay. So that really didn't work because I was doing double work. I mean, I was there extra. I was there for after school with the teachers. They were rotating who would stay after for the parents. It was not beneficial. So in your case, maybe so. But when you're talking, it depends on the business. So I do agree with what you said as well. But if you have a staff that you have to pay, lowering your prices probably would not prove very beneficial, because you're going to lose, because your prices have already been lowered and your staff is looking for money. But you're right. And I didn't get into it as much, but I did say in a Doreen's case, she could probably do something if she chose it. But I should have taken it up a notch, like you said, and discussed how it would be beneficial to both at the end. On an interim basis, you could probably do that flex.
Oh, absolutely. You flex.
But don't, let me tell you, out of desperation, which is where I was, and Teresa, I was desperate. I wanted, come on, life changers, come. That was desperation. See, you're coming from a perspective of, reciprocity, and that's something I'm big on. You're talking about mutual benefit. I wasn't. I was like, come on, because, I can tell this man is not calling me sugar. He calling me C. Denise, Dr. C. I mean, that Teresa, please don't. That kind of did something to me, because his term of endearment since we've been married, he's always calling me sugar unless I rub him the wrong way. And that money was a sore spot. He didn't just take it. He was not mean to me, but I don't like him. I prefer sugar. Call me sugar. So let's get this right.
Well,
this has been amazing.
It is amazing. It is truly amazing. And I have to say this, and then I have to jump off because I've got to return a phone call. But the bottom line is this: whether they're calling you sugar, they're calling you C. Denise, or whatever, the people that are in our lives are there to show us the way, teach us the lessons, and help bring us to a higher place, whether we're talking about business, personal development, our relationships with each other. They're all there. If we can look at it as people are there for us and things are happening for us rather than things are happening to us, there will always be a benefit, and there will always be gratitude in the end. So
yes,
absolutely. All right, ladies, this was a great call, Denise. I really loved it.
Thank you. I like making Doe happy. I'm getting ready to text you, Doe. You all have a great evening. Thank you again for joining me. I look to see you all soon. Teresa, I'm going to send that over to you soon. Thank you.
I'll watch for it. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.